Hey GAWDA members, welcome to another episode of GAWDA TV. Can you believe we're now just a little bit more than 2 months away from this year's Spring Management Conference in Dallas, Texas? Today's SMC update is brought to you by Air Products. Air Products touches the lives of consumers around the globe in positive ways every day. Focused on serving energy, environment, and emerging markets, Air Products provides essential industrial gases, related equipment, and applications expertise to customers in dozens of industries. Joining us today to give this month's SMC update is GAWDA's Vice President of Operations and Administration, Natasha Alexis. Natasha, with the show just over 2 months away, can you give viewers an update about this year's SMC?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for the opportunity to share about this program and this new study that we're going to Dallas, Texas. The SMC will be hosted at the Omni Dallas in downtown Dallas, walkable city, lots of local attractions, May 4th through May 6th. Dallas is an easy airport to get to, Steve. This is an easy destination for members right in the middle of the country. No more than 4-hour flight for members. So easy to get to. Register multiple people in your company to attend this one. The SMC is one of 2 of our national meetings. So 2 times a year, the industry meets. The SMC is nearing 800 attendees. The annual conference of nearing a little over 900. So key leaders in the industry, in the organizations to exchange ideas, to really network. And the SMC Planning Committee has really put together take-home value for members. So again, really excited about this meeting. The theme is sustaining a resilient culture. Timely topic, offering a solution to the shift in culture in member companies, right? The next generation of the workforce is entering into companies. We have different working styles, different approaches to things. So we're just trying to offer members solutions to go home and implement immediately in their companies. So the meeting kicks off on Sunday, May 4th with committee meetings. The young professionals will host a lunch and learn with GAWDA President Eric Wood. This is a really intimate lunch where Eric will share his personal leadership journey, his leadership styles, and answer questions from the young professionals, but it's open to other leaders. You don't have to necessarily be emerging or young leader. We'll host a special event for all newcomers. So welcome. We're excited to welcome our newcomers. Be sure to look out for emails and notices from GAWDA headquarters. Eric Wood and his wife Paula would like to welcome all members to Dallas at the welcome reception and dinner at the Sky High Tower Club in downtown Dallas, a cool venue, and also an interesting theme, Caddyshack, where optional dress up, not mandatory, just more fun ways to engage members and to get all of you to connect. The young professionals will close out the event with an after party at the hotel. So look for details on that on our website. On May 5th, we'll open up with our general session, and we're excited about these speakers. First off, Kyle Shield, which will teach members how to be innovative, open to these ideas, these different ideas, again, that are coming from a different generation, and how to work well with one another and sometimes to implement these ideas. John O'Leary is going to share his personal story of resilience. He has a really great story that we hope will resonate with members. We'll have lunch. And then we're going to kick off our highly anticipated contact booth program. We already have over 120 exhibitors registered. This is your opportunity to walk up and down our trade show floors and really learn about our supplier members, new products and services. The Industry Partnering Committee, which I'm excited to share, will also be awarding the Best in Show to exhibitors, and this is a new program that just highlights the best in booth sportsmanship. So really fun program. We're encouraging our suppliers to come with their best, right? Their creativity and how they display their products, their services, and really connecting with our supplier members. Lots of programs, isn't it, Steve? Lots of fun things happening. For the last day of the conference, Tuesday, May 6th, we're happy to announce that members will hear from our current GAWDA member, Hypertherm, the current CEO and president, Aaron Brandt, and former CEO and president, Evan Smith, and also current board director. This is the icing on the top for this conference, as Hypertherm is known for its strong culture, and they've been very successful in maintaining this culture through leadership transitions. So really excited for members to hear from both Aaron and Evan. After morning sessions, we're going to break up into education sessions. We have 6 education sessions. You really want to encourage multiple employees from your company to attend the SMC so you can get employees in different sessions. So we have cybersecurity, e-commerce, recruiting, hydrogen, a 10-year outlook in gas distribution, and also very special, which our members always look forward to, an hour with our GAWDA consultants. So this is just a mouthful, Steve, but we're excited. You don't want to miss this conference, a true opportunity to sustain a resilient culture and support you and less of this brain drain, which is the transferring of knowledge from one generation to next. Register today. We look forward to welcome all of you to Dallas, Texas. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much for that update, Natasha. If you haven't registered for the SMC yet, what are you waiting for? The registration link is in the description below. We've got a great show lined up for you today, and it all comes right after a word from today's presenting sponsor, Weldcoa. Joining us first today to discuss the incredibly timely topic of hydrogen are Bob Ewing and Quinn Kennedy from Red Ball Oxygen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. Hydrogen is one of your most important molecules, and it has been for quite some time. Can you tell us what industries in your area are using hydrogen and what they're using it for typically?
Yeah, Steve, our primary end market is power generation. That's really what got us involved in the hydrogen business, primarily to support our power generation customers. We were selling a lot of welding hard goods during plant turnarounds and industrial cylinder gases to support those plants. Eventually started selling EPA protocols, and the last sort of target of opportunity for us was hydrogen, and we started to grow that molecule to the point that we were selling, multiple tube trailers a week worth of hydrogen to bump up ground storage tubes at power plants that were using it really to cool the gas-fired turbines. It's a cooling system on those large combined cycle natural gas plants. We also had a segment of refinery business, and that's grown over time. Most of those refineries have their own steam methane reformers, or they're plugged into a pipeline, but they often have requirements during turnarounds when they're down for maintenance, when they have to shut down or start up, where they require high pressure tube trailers. So that segment has grown as we have more and more tube trailers available to sell into that segment. It's become more and more important. The other real big hitter for us is analytical laboratories, because they use it for their gas chromatography, either as a carrier gas or to fuel like a flame ionization detector for gas chromatography. So a lot, especially along the Gulf Coast, where we have a lot of folks that are in either natural gas processing or petrochemical refining, they have a lot of instrumentation that uses hydrogen to support their analytical process. So those have been the big target industries. Not a whole lot of action for us in transportation or mobility. So forklifts and trucks has not really been our focus. But those other three have driven our demand.
How long has your company been involved that deeply with hydrogen? And can you discuss some of the infrastructure that your company has had to put in place to support that incredible demand?
We really started increasing our bulk hydrogen presence in the late 90s, early aughts is when that business started to take off for us. And then it grew to the point in about, I think Quinn was reminding me, 2011 was when we actually made the plunge and partnered with our hydrogen supplier to put a liquid to gas transfill station here in Shreveport so that we could fill our own tube trailers. We were swapping tube trailers with our supplier almost daily, and it was just becoming a real logistical headache. And of course, we had enough volume that we could buy the liquid at a nice discount. So it made sense for us to make that investment and begin transfilling into tube trailers. And then the biggest, source of investment since then has been in the tube trailers themselves. Those are pretty expensive assets, and we've got dozens of those now in our fleet that we use to support various customers.
We had a segment on GAWDA TV last year discussing hydrogen as a potential disruptor in our industry. And one of the things that came up repeatedly was the 45Q tax credit. How have those tax credits impacted the market, and do you expect the hydrogen market to continue to grow at the rate that we've been seeing recently?
Yeah, it's been interesting the last few years, since the Inflation Reduction Act, so-called Inflation Reduction Act, and the tax credits. We did have a flurry of announcements in our part of the country. The Gulf Coast region, everywhere from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, and then you have that Lake Charles, Beaumont, Port Arthur area, and then of course the Houston Ship Channel. That's probably the majority of the hydrogen generation in the country is kind of right here in our breadbasket. And so a lot of those players wanted to jump in heavily to take advantage of some of those tax incentives that were announced. We had big announcements. Air Products has got an ongoing huge project in Ascension Parish. They announced a partnership with AES in North Texas to do green hydrogen production. I don't know if they're still involved in that project, but their partner AES still is. And then Exxon made a big investment in a carbon sequestering project in Baytown. So all of those were, I think, primarily motivated by the tax incentives and the potential infrastructure investments to support it from the federal government. And there's a lot of other wildcat players. We've heard pitches from a lot of folks that are doing some sort of electrolysis to generate green hydrogen. So far, the economics are not very favorable. So those molecules, those green molecules, are still a lot more expensive than the gray molecules, and so we have not marketed or bought any green hydrogen in our market. But there's big enough investments being made that we think it's definitely going to influence the supply side of the equation and could be a disruptor on the price down the road. I think the biggest question mark for me is just policy certainty. New administration, different energy policy, different stance towards renewables versus old line oil and gas. And so I think that policy certainty, until that gets resolved, I don't know how much is really going to change until we get some clear direction from the Trump administration on whether they're going to continue to support those federal tax incentives and investments. So we're very bullish regardless of what the federal government does on hydrogen. There is a lot of demand for for energy, for electrical power, and that core demand is going to drive power plant construction and a continued demand for hydrogen in the core segment that we serve. So we're real bullish, at least in our part of the country, that we'll continue to see power plant hydrogen demand go up.
We've talked about hydrogen's potential as a disruptor. You mentioned that you haven't been involved on the transportation side, but do you expect hydrogen to continue to be adopted by more industries? And if that's the case, do you expect to see more members get involved with hydrogen?
Yeah, this is my perspective. Is it's a little early in the game to really know what direction that's heading and whether hydrogen wins as the renewable solution for mobility. It seems to me that it's going to play a niche, but whether or not so much still depends on either tax incentives or emission standards, like what's going on in California with the low carbon fuel standards. That's going to drive demand for green hydrogen in California, but I don't know that it is going to impact us in our part of the country on the consumption side. We may be a net exporter of hydrogen to California if they don't want to build the infrastructure to generate all that green hydrogen. So I don't know. I think it's a little speculative to say how that's gonna unfold, and again, a lot depends on how much support the federal government puts into that drive, and that's pretty unclear to me right now. Could become very clear in the next few months. But I think if you're in like us, most of our members are in a position to go after the old line gray hydrogen targets. Those if you've got a refining industry, if you've got power plants in your market, if you've got specialty gas in your market, those are areas we could grow that hydrogen molecule and then position yourself to where if this unfolds and becomes a real big play for distributors, you'll have some infrastructure in place. And that's kind of how we feel is, it's wait and see, but we continue to invest in hydrogen because we think even if those other things don't play out, it's still a pretty good molecule for us to invest in.
Shifting gears for a minute, Quinn, you're one of the co-chairs for this year's Southwest Regional Meeting. That meeting has traditionally been held in Texas, but this year it will be held in Denver from April 23rd to the 25th. Can you give members a sneak peek of what they can expect from this year's regional and why you're so excited about it?
Yeah, we shifted the meeting from Texas just because Denver's more of a centralized location, because the Southwest Regional actually is from California all the way down to Texas. So all those states are included in it, and it's kind of just a good spot to put it. So we polled some different people out in the field and asked what they wanted to see, and they wanted it mainly focused around gas distributors and heavy on that, and hearing from different distributors around the country. So we've put together a panel of different distributors, and that's kind of what we're going to base it off of. Sales, marketing, AI, efficiency, different stuff like that.
And registration for that meeting is already open, correct?
It is open, yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. And as a reminder, the registration link for this year's Southwest Regional can be found in the description below.
Announcing CO2Meter's new gas equipment service offerings. From expert device maintenance and certifications to virtual consultations and in-depth safety training, CO2Meter is making it easier than ever to ensure compliance and a gas-safe culture in your establishment. Whether you're protecting employees, customers, or meeting compliance standards, we have everything you need to ensure optimal gas safety in your facility. Visit CO2Meter.com to start your gas safety services today.
We're lucky enough to be joined next today by Rafael and Nico Arvelo. They are two of the co-chairs for this year's first regional meeting of the year, which is the Southeast Regional Meeting, which will take place later this month from March 24th to the 25th in Greenville, South Carolina. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. The Southeast Regional was reintroduced to great fanfare last year. Can you give us a little bit of a preview of what members can expect at this year's regional meeting?
So Greenville, South Carolina is one of my father's favorite cities, and it's come to be one of my favorite cities as well. It's a very small city, but has a very big city feel to it. It's kind of it's a weird feeling. The city only has about 70,000 people, but the downtown itself is you feel like you're in New York City. It's very pedestrian friendly, so we encourage members to bring their families, their spouses, and to kind of take a few extra days and kind of walk around the city. There's a lot of rooftops, a lot of nice restaurants, just a very familiar, very homey vibe to it, and we feel like our guests are gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, in addition to that, Greenville downtown, it has a river and a nice park. The walking experience is just amazing, and great theaters. The event is going to be Monday and Tuesday, 24th and 25th. So we highly recommend to, go 2 days before Saturday and Sunday, enjoy the city. And they even have a noise ordinance. So, cars and motorcycles, they can't be loud. You can't have loud music. So it's a really, really nice city to enjoy.
2024 was a record-setting year for GAWDA. We had record-setting attendance at both of our national events as well as our regional meetings. With this being the first meeting of the year, it looks like we're already off to a record-setting pace for 2025.
So as of today, we have over 100 registered. We have over 20 distributors. So the networking experience, it's going to be fantastic. So don't miss it.
I actually got a funny story about that. We launched, I think it was 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we launched on, I don't know what day it was, but 2 days later, both Bruce and my father called me and they said, "Hey, people can't register for their hotel. People can't book their hotel." And I started freaking out. I'm like, "Oh gosh, the hotel link is working, blah, blah, blah." So I immediately called the hotel and they're like, "Oh, well, you're booked." And I'm like, "What? It's been 2 days. There's no way the whole hotel is booked." And obviously we increased the room count, and everyone can go and book their hotels now. But I did not think that so many people would register within 48 hours, and it was just a very rewarding feeling to see that people are very excited about it.
A quick note for viewers. This interview took place in early February. Today, those attendance numbers stand at more than 141 total registrants with 37 distributors. And while the hotel is sold out through the GAWDA room rate, you can still find rooms on site at the hotel's other rates, or you can find a list of other area hotels within half a mile of the event on the event website, which can be found in the description below. Now back to the interview. Abity was fond of saying that the annual convention is the 30,000-foot view of the industry, whereas the regional meetings are the opportunity to really get into the weeds in your specific markets. You've put together a really incredibly diverse set of educational and business sessions. Can you tell us about the topics that you'll be discussing?
So as we all know, last year was a very unfortunate year towards the end. Hurricane season came down hard, especially in Western North Carolina, which we were not expecting. It's usually Florida, where I am. So we will have the three companies that are in Asheville, Arc3, Ambioxy, and Holston Gases, come and speak about, disaster relief and disaster recovery and how they were prepared, what measurements they took, standard of procedures, preventative maintenance, and how to go about it, and how we can all prepare for that, because it's something that's going to happen again. Unfortunately, it happens down here in Florida all the time. It happens on the East Coast, and Eastern North Carolina as well, South Carolina, Georgia. So I feel like a lot of regional companies, Southeast regional companies, can take away from that and prepare for the future.
In addition, we have Hector Villarreal from Weldcoa. He is the co-chair of the technical committee, and he's going to be talking about cybersecurity. And oh Lord, there's all kind of scams and way to get people and get their money. So it is going to be very, very informative, and it's going to be productive to all of us, and especially when AI is kicking in so hard, and which is going to bring a lot of benefits, but it's also going to be easier for scammers to do their plans. We're also going to be talking about company culture, to follow the leadership of Eric Wood, our actual president of GAWDA. So he's going to be bringing into the regionals and the South and the SMC and the annual everything involved in company culture and how you have to bring all your people and how all your staff should follow what the company culture is.
Obviously, people come to these events looking for take-home value, but it wouldn't be a GAWDA event if there wasn't a fun component to it as well. And I know you have some really fun activities planned on that side of things. Can you tell us more about what you have on the fun side of the event?
So with all GAWDA events, we obviously going to have golf. Everyone knows that everyone has golfed with me knows that I'm not the best golfer, but this golf course is particularly, it's very tight. And I have a bit of a slice, so that my balls go everywhere but straight. So make sure you guys bring your balls, bring extra balls. But the thing that we're most excited about is something that we haven't done ever, is go to the BMW Performance Center. The BMW Performance Center has a BMW driving school. And when I talked to the lady, she literally told me, and I quote, "We want you to drive them like you stole them." And I, it's so surreal to me because when I was a kid, I used to want to do that so bad because it's such a fun experience, and you're driving with actual, professional drivers. And one of the world records for the longest drift time was actually conducted there. It was an 8-hour drift time, nonstop, and you actually get to do that drift at the same cars and the same lap that they did it on, and you get to race 5 different vehicles across 5 different tracks, SUVs, performance vehicles. It's gonna be a really, really fun event.
Imagine you're driving and you're going to be trying to drift your car for 3-5 minutes. That's a long time to have a car drifting. And so I cannot even talk about the adrenaline that's going to pop up in this event. So everybody's going to have a chance to drive 5 to 6 different cars in 5 different tracks. And here, people are not, they're going to drive fast cars, but they're going to drive fast car really fast. So it's going to be a great meeting, perfect for networking. People that don't want to drive, they still come along and watch and have some appetizers. So it's going to be good. It's going to be fun.
Is there anything else that you want to leave viewers with before we go today?
And without any great event, you can't do without a great team. Me and my father were lucky enough to have Linda and Brett as co-chairs as well as the fantastic GAWDA staff. You guys have been an amazing help, and I look forward to seeing you all at the Southeast Regional.
Gentlemen, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing event. Thank you so much for being with us today. If you haven't registered already, please make sure to do so by clicking the link in the description below. During last year's annual convention in Phoenix, Arizona, we had the opportunity to catch up with Doug Lampton and Robert Gerry from Lampton Welding to discuss an ongoing project that they've been undertaking that they call Lampton 2.0. Thank you to Doug and Robert for taking the time to speak with us. All right, we are lucky enough to be joined today by Doug Lampton and Robert Gerry. Doug is the president and Robert is the executive vice president of Lampton Welding Supply. So gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today. All right, Doug, we did a member profile of Lampton Welding Supply last year, which we called Lampton 2.0. So for those who didn't read the story or are just interested in a refresher, can you tell us what Lampton 2.0 is?
It's basically a culmination of how we are progressing the business forward from the older generation to the newer generation. And so we're scaling up and just enhancing our internal and external philosophies and processes and so forth. So it's just an upgrade from where we were at to today.
Hey, Robert, you joined the company in 2022.
Correct.
You're obviously people in GAWDA, they've seen you around, but what made you kind of join Lampton? What got you excited about jumping ship and coming on to Lampton and, being part of Lampton 2.0?
It's a great question. I appreciate that. I've been talking to Doug for a number of years, and we've seen each other in the industry and crossed over for quite a while. And I think that Doug had this vision, concept, and idea that Lampton, would go from the organization to sort of serve the middle of the country into a bigger brand, sort of building like a super regional kind of concept. And so that 2.0, as he suggests, and I think it was an opportunity to do a couple different things. One is to come in and refresh with talent. Talent's a tough thing in our industry today, so the opportunity to kind of pick your own team, you know what I'm saying, right? Pick the players, your new quarterbacks and receivers, and then kind of culturally spin the thing up a bit. Take Lampton from what might be seen as someone who can serve at a certain level and become automation and direct and bulk and kind of all things. And then kind of trust and autonomy with the Lampton organization. Doug said we're going to come in and we're going to do big things, and it's all your fault, if it. And I accept that challenge and appreciate it. So I think it was opportunity based, big picture, and the chance to make a difference with the business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Lampton is it's a trusted brand, 75 years. It's a really proud brand. So this is, I wouldn't say you're out on a limb, but I mean, to take a brand that was like that for 75 years and to make some pretty radical changes that's a big thing that you guys are doing. So can you talk about those changes? What made you kind of undertake Lampton 2.0? Like, what was the driving force behind it? And can you talk about the process of doing Lampton 2.0? And this is really for both of you, but I'll start with Doug.
Well, it's we're actually in our 78th year this year, and it's a vision of when you grow up in the business and different things you want to input into your company to make it better and to increase value to your customers. You just look at different ways of what you can do to enhance or implement into your system. So when I took over being president in 2019, I knew what I needed to do and what we all needed to do at our company to get better. Unfortunately, there was a pandemic that kind of stalled us. But long story short, I reorganized things, brought on Robert, and brought on Larry Krasnarek for our EVP of operations, and made our all-star team now a dream team, which is what I said in the article. So it's just where you see how you need to bring up to the next level of operations, and not only internally to enhance your culture and to have better team members, but also to bring value to your customers. So there was a lot of work that needed to be done, and paying homage to where we got to in 78 years, and then moving it forward. It's a vision and a strategy, and that's what we did in Lampton 2.0.
And Robert, when we talked, I remember you were really excited about the vision that Doug had when you came on board. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think there's an excitement when you take a business, we use the 2.0 vernacular just kind of from like software world, right? 1. Next version. So it's like everything that Lampton built in those, at that time, 75 to 76 years, better, faster, stronger. And that's an exciting time if you can be right on the front of it. I tend to like the creation and the building of things. So it's just an opportunity to kind of come in and strike the fire, right? Go 2.0. That base is already built. Now we're just going to go from good to great to fantastic and on better. So it's kind of a journey and a challenge, right?
Absolutely. So now you're a handful of years into Lampton 2.0. Talk about what's next, 5 to 10 years. What are you jacked up about? What are you most excited about?
Well, we've set lofty goals, so the exciting part is for us to achieve those goals. And as we're making everyone better and making our customers better, the exciting part is just to see it actually come to fruition. I mean, just looking forward to that growth and all that we have planned going forward.
Absolutely. Robert?
We're building a great team. The talent we brought on board is fantastic, and I think the structure supports it. Some of our strategic decisions recently and some capital that we're putting into the business. So, next time we interview next year, maybe we're talking about 3.0 or 3.5 or whatever. But, it's been a great experience so far. And your question about 5 to 10 years, we'll be stronger. We will be more of a dominant sort of super regional. We'll have a bigger, broader base of great employees, and we'll be a force in the market, right? Even more than today. So we're bullish on the future for 2.0 at this time, right? Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, sounds like you're building something great, and we really appreciate the time. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you. To see more interviews from last year's annual convention, click the link in the description below. If you'd like to be interviewed for an upcoming GAWDA TV episode during this year's SMC in Dallas, please reach out to us today. GAWDA Media is the go-to resource for news and information about the gases and welding industry. Through our wide variety of publication platforms, GAWDA Media keeps our members up to date on all of the most breaking news, emerging trends, and member events in the industry. Want to get your company's message seen? We have a quarterly print publication, a twice-monthly newsletter, an online buyer's guide, and a twice-monthly news show. If it's happening in gas and welding, it's happening on GAWDA Media. Want to learn more? Contact your GAWDA Media representative today. Today's member news segment is brought to you by Anthony Welded Products. Anthony Welded Products is proud to introduce its newest line of cages, which incorporate an innovative built-in ramp. The built-in ramp is available on all cage models. Visit anthonycarts.com today by clicking the link in the description below for more information about any of Anthony's cages. Anthony Welded Products, often copied, never equaled. Registration for GAWDA's 2025 scholarship program is open now. The application deadline for this year's scholarship is March 12th. For more information, click the link in the description below. Lindy Gas and Equipment acquired Middlesex Gases and Technologies. USA Cylinder Corp. announced that it had acquired California Cylinder. Rob Silva was promoted to Norco's Executive Vice President of Industrial. Airgas announced its acquisition of Bickett Machine and Gas Supply. SelectArc announced that it had hired Thomas Glennon as its new Vice President of Sales. It also announced Dane Heimberg as its new Northeast Regional Manager. Bloom Energy and Chart Industries announced a groundbreaking carbon capture partnership. Nikiso promoted Jeff Mumford to Executive Vice President of Operations and Manufacturing. Holston Gases acquired Tri-Cities Dry Ice. Air Products appointed Eduardo Menendez as its new CEO. Weldcoa named Adam Markham as its Senior Technical Specialist. And finally, CO2Meter expanded its industrial gas safety solutions through its partnership with Equigas. To learn more about any of these member news items or to submit member news of your own, read the complete March 1st issue of the GAWDA Connection in your email inbox today or by clicking the link in the description below. And that's our show for this month. Before we go today, we're excited to announce that the first quarter issue of Welding and Gases Today is online now and should hit desks soon. The first quarter issue is our annual forecast issue and features insights from GAWDA distributors and suppliers, as well as our sister organizations about the state of the gases and welding economy in 2025. Thank you to everybody who participated in this year's forecast. The Q1 issue also features a full convention recap, including photo galleries, as well as an SMC preview, and much, much more. Check out the full issue by clicking the link in the description below. Until next time, for all of us here at GAWDA TV, this is Steve Guillermo signing off.